If food prices keep climbing, space keeps shrinking, and you still want to produce something useful at home, then this might be one of the most interesting plants you've never tried. Because most people think growing food at home means you need a yard, a bed, good soil, full sun, compost, irrigation, and a whole lot of time. But what if you could grow something fresh, edible, and protein-rich right on a windowsill, with no garden bed, almost no space, and a setup simple enough that it takes just a few minutes a day? That's what we're talking about today. And not microgreens, not lettuce, not herbs. I'm talking about a forgotten bean that most people in the West barely know exists, but that has some serious potential for small space food production. It's called the winged bean, and today I want to show you why this plant is so interesting, why I think it fits the low input mindset so well, and how you can use the sprouting stage to grow a fresh food crop indoors without needing a backyard at all. Because when I think about low input living, I'm not just thinking about big gardens and long rows. I'm thinking about systems, and a system that can give you fresh edible growth in a tiny space with little equipment, no soil, and no complicated routine. That's a system worth paying attention to. Now, before we go any further, I want to say this clearly. This is not magic. This is not unlimited protein. This is not a miracle plant that replaces your whole food system. But it is a very interesting option if you care about producing useful food in a small space, especially if you want something that feels more practical than just growing decorative greens on a windowsill. And that's what caught my attention about it. Because most small space food advice tends to swing to one of two extremes. Either it's incredibly basic, like grow a few herbs in a jar, which is fine, but it doesn't move the needle much. Or it's wildly unrealistic, as if a couple windowsill containers are somehow going to replace a farm. What I'm interested in is the middle ground. Something honest, something useful, something repeatable, something that gives real value without pretending to be more than it is. And winged bean sprouts fall into that category. So let's start with what this plant actually is. Winged bean is a tropical legume. The mature plant is known for being unusually useful because different parts of it can be eaten depending on how it's grown. Pods, leaves, flowers, seeds, even tubers in some conditions. That's part of what makes it so interesting. It's not a one-dimensional plant. But for most people watching this, especially if you don't live in a tropical climate, the easiest entry point is not growing it to full maturity outdoors. It's sprouting the seeds indoors. That's the part that makes this topic so relevant. Because sprouting takes a plant that might otherwise feel exotic or climate limited, and turns it into something you can experiment with right on a kitchen counter or window area. And this is where the low input appeal really starts showing up. You're not building beds, you're not hauling compost, you're not fighting weeds, you're not worrying about frost. You're not even dealing with soil. You're taking a seed, waking it up with water, giving it air, rinsing it regularly, and harvesting the young growth at the point where it's fresh, tender, and edible. That's it. Simple does not mean worthless. In fact, some of the most valuable food systems are simple precisely because they remove friction. And friction matters. If something is too complicated, too slow, too fragile, or too demanding, most people will not stick with it. But if it's simple enough that you can actually repeat it, then it becomes part of your life, instead of just being a nice idea. That's one reason I like this topic. The second reason is space. A lot of people feel locked out of food production because they don't have land, or they rent, or they live in a small home, or their yard is tiny, or their climate gives them a short growing season, or maybe they do have a backyard, but they still want ways to produce food beyond the normal garden cycle. That's where indoor systems become interesting. Not because they replace the garden, but because they complement it. And that's how I think this should be viewed. A windowsill protein crop is not a replacement for potatoes, beans, squash, chickens, or a real outdoor food system. It's a layer. It's one more useful layer. And if your goal is resilience, layers matter. Now let's talk about why sprouting changes the equation. A dry bean is storage food. It's dormant. It's waiting. But once you soak it and begin the sprouting process, it starts shifting from storage mode into growth mode. And that changes the eating experience completely. The seed softens. The texture changes. The flavor becomes fresher. And the whole thing starts to feel less like a hard pantry staple and more like living food. That's important. Because one of the weaknesses in small space food production is freshness. You can store dried beans, yes, but being able to turn a dry stored ingredient into something fresh and green indoors is a very useful trick. Especially in winter, especially in apartments, especially when the garden is not producing much. And this is where I think a lot of people miss the real value. They get distracted by the hype. They hear things like more protein than beef or grow endless food in a window, and then the whole conversation turns into a gimmick. I think the better way to think about it is this. This is a protein-rich legume that can be turned into a fresh edible crop in a very small indoor space with minimal inputs. That is already impressive enough. It doesn't need fake drama. Now, if you wanted to try this, the basic process is simple. First, you need good seeds, and that matters more than people realize. You want clean, untreated seeds that are actually appropriate for food use or sprouting, not chemically treated planting seed, not mystery seeds of uncertain quality. If you're sprouting anything indoors and planning to eat it young, seed quality matters. Once you have the seeds, you soak them. That first soak is what wakes them up. It tells the seed the conditions are right to begin growing. After that, you drain them, rinse them, and set them in some kind of container that gives you airflow and drainage. And that part doesn't need to be fancy. You do not need some overpriced gadget. A tray with drainage, a sprouting container, a colander setup, or another simple system can work just fine as long as you're not letting the seeds sit in stagnant water. That's one of the biggest mistakes with sprouts in general. People think moisture is the goal, but the goal is not constant wetness. The goal is repeated rinsing with good drainage in between. That keeps things moving in the right direction without creating a swamp. Then, over the next several days, you rinse and drain. That's the routine. It's not labor intensive. It's not technically difficult, but it does require consistency. That's the trade-off. You don't need much space, but you do need a little rhythm. And honestly, I like systems like that, because they reward attention without demanding your whole day. A few minutes in the morning, a few minutes later on. That's manageable for most people. And after several days, you've got a fresh harvest. That's the appeal. Not the fantasy, the turnaround. A dry stored seed becomes a fresh edible crop in less than a week. That's useful. And one thing I especially like about this kind of setup is that it can become rotational. You don't have to think in one batch at a time. You can stagger it. Start one, then start another a couple of days later, then harvest one while the next is coming up. That's when it stops feeling like an experiment and starts feeling like a system. And I'm always more interested in systems than one-offs. Because a one-off is a novelty. A system changes how you live. Now, if you're wondering whether this is something I'd put in the same category as a backyard staple crop, the answer is no. I would not compare this directly to a bed of potatoes, or a patch of sweet potatoes, or a whole outdoor bean system. It's not the same thing. But I also wouldn't dismiss it just because it's small. That's another mistake people make. They think if something doesn't produce bulk, it doesn't matter. But the truth is, bulk is only one form of value. Freshness is value. Convenience is value. Year-round production is value. Small space production is value. Nutrient density is value. Indoor resilience is value. And winged bean sprouts check several of those boxes. So when I think about what belongs in a low-input life, this kind of thing makes sense to me. Not because it solves everything, but because it adds one more dependable tool. And dependable tools matter more than dramatic promises. That may be the biggest lesson here. The modern food world trains people to think in extremes. Either something is a miracle, or it's worthless. Either it replaces the whole system, or it doesn't matter. Real life is not like that. Real life is built out of useful pieces. One patch of potatoes matters. One stand of perennial onions matters. One tray of sprouts matters. One rain barrel matters. One productive bed matters. One simple indoor protein crop matters. It all adds up. And if you're trying to live with less dependence on stores, less dependence on fragile supply chains, and less dependence on constant spending, then these smaller, repeatable systems become surprisingly important. That's how I'd frame this plant. Not as a miracle, as a useful piece, and I actually think that makes it more interesting, not less. Because useful pieces are what real self-reliance is made of. Now, I also think this topic points to something bigger. We spend a lot of time assuming that useful food production has to be large, expensive, or complicated, but some of the most practical food systems are small and quiet. A tray by the window, a patch by the fence, a perennial tucked in a corner, a volunteer edible plant in the yard, a low-effort crop that keeps paying back. That's what I'm drawn to, not because big production doesn't matter. It does. But because small systems are often what people can actually start. And starting matters. If somebody watches this and realizes they don't need land to begin producing at least some fresh food at home, that's a meaningful shift. If somebody realizes that useful food can come from a windowsill, not just from a fenced garden, that matters. If somebody starts seeing food production less as a giant all-or-nothing identity and more as a collection of practical systems they can build over time, that matters too. That's how I want people to think about this. Start where you are. Use what fits your life. Build systems you can actually maintain. And if a simple sprouting setup helps you do that, then it deserves attention. So would I build my whole food system around winged bean sprouts? No. Would I ignore them? Also no. I think they belong in the category of smart small space tools. They're especially interesting if you have limited space. You want indoor production. You want something fresh in winter. You like the idea of protein-rich plant foods, or you just want one more practical layer in your home food system. And honestly, that's enough. It doesn't need to be more than that to be worth trying. So, if you've never heard of winged bean before, or if you've heard the hype but never heard it explained in a practical way, here's my take. It's a fascinating plant. The sprouting method is accessible. The indoor setup is simple. And as part of a broader low-input lifestyle, it makes a lot of sense. Not because it replaces everything else, but because it gives you another way to turn a small space into something useful. And in a world where space is tight, food is expensive, and resilience matters more every year, I think that's a pretty big deal. If you're trying to grow more food with less space, less waste, and less dependence on the store, subscribe, because that's exactly what this channel is about. And if you want, the next video I can make is this: the best foods you can actually grow indoors that are worth the effort. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.